Hey, it's Scotty. What do you do if you can't get a vet appointment soon enough? What do you do if you're afraid that you can't get a vet appointment quick enough when your guinea pig is sick? Well, I'm glad that we're talking about this before our guinea pigs are sick so that we can come up with a plan, a backup plan so that we can be prepared if something like that happens. The first thing I would do is I would look for another vet. You've got 24-hour vets, emergency vets. You have some vets that are emergency hospitals that they don't require appointments. If you go and you show up, then they will take you. Some of them are 24 hours, some of them aren't. But having at least an extra vet that you know, that you trust, that's going to open up the possibility that you can get an appointment sooner. Obviously, the more choices you have, the better. But not only having two vets, but knowing of a 24-hour vet, knowing of an emergency vet, that is going to help cover your bases. So for instance, I have my main vet, I have another vet that I really love that's usually harder to get an appointment with, which is why my new vet, I've been able to get appointments sooner. So I've got two vets that I know, that I trust, that I can hopefully try to get an appointment with. There is also, in an emergency, a 24-hour emergency vet. They're really expensive and they're always busy. And then there's another vet that I know of that's not 24 hours, but if you can get there and you can show up, they'll see you. You may have to wait a couple hours, but they will see you, and they're very good, very experienced. So I've got all my bases covered. But even with all of those choices, all those different vets, I may not be able to get my piggy in the same day unless I really want to drive 3 hours to the emergency vet. And sometimes in an emergency, that is too long, depending on what is wrong. So you definitely want to build an emergency kit for those most common illnesses. So when it comes to common illnesses that are indeed emergencies, it seems like the most common one is bloat or GI stasis, right? You go to feed your piggies and they're normally climbing the walls to get treats from you. They're anticipating you. And then today they're not coming out of their house and something's off. They don't seem like they feel well. Side note, some people say, oh, my guinea pig seems depressed today. My guinea pig's sad. What can I do? They're probably actually not feeling well. Your guinea pig may be depressed if your guinea pig lives alone, and they may be bored, they may be not stimulated, but don't put your human emotions on them. Guinea pigs do have a deep and vast emotional life, but if your guinea pig is not acting like themselves, they're not in a mood, they probably don't feel good. So you got to figure out what's wrong. And in most cases, if they were fine the night before or a few hours before and now they're just not acting like themselves, in most cases, if your piggies were fine the night before or a few hours ago and now they're not acting like themselves, chances are they're not feeling well. And in most cases, that is some kind of a digestive thing like bloat or GI stasis. So you want to see if they're not eating because they're not feeling good and they're feeling like they're in pain. It could be that they're not pooping, that they're bloated, they don't feel good, or their digestion is slowing or stopping. So there are a number of things that you can do. First off, you want to pick up your piggy. You want to figure out, do they feel bloated? Do they feel like do they look like their belly's expanded? When you tap on it, does it feel hollow? Does it feel like really firm and bloated? You can tell a bloated pig because they're bloated. So if that's the case, then you want to give them baby gas drops. Now that is not a substitute for going to the vet, but it can alleviate the pain and the pressure. So baby gas drops, something that you want to have in your emergency kit. You can feed them 0.3 milliliters, so a third of a syringe. You can do that every couple hours. A little bit more, a little bit less isn't going to hurt them. If you give them a lot, it's very inert. It's not going to hurt them to give them too much. So every couple hours is fine. You also want to try to feed them emergency food, like Critical Care or Sherwood makes an emergency food, right? It's a powdered food that you mix in water. There's a number of them. Emer Aid, like Emergency Aid. Emer Aid is another brand that is very good. You can find a bunch of guinea pig emergency foods or emergency foods for herbivores. Those will help physically get that gut moving, because the physical food is going in and it's got to start moving, and that can help push some of that gas out. But when your piggy's not feeling well, they might not want to eat, so you got to be very careful to feed them if they are willing to take it and really try, but not force feed them if they're really in pain. So it's a delicate balance. Paying attention to them and what they're feeling is very important. So you can also give activated charcoal to your piggies. Now, this is a diarrhea cure, but it also helps with gas. So in the illness section of my care guide, if you scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, you'll see diarrhea cure. Now, basically, you take a capsule of the activated charcoal. Now, they normally are like 500 milligrams, 600 milligram tablets, and you break it up, and whatever the milligrams is, you divide that by 100. So if you have 500 milligrams, then you have 5 servings of a 100 milligram dose. And so I explained this very clearly in the video, but if you have a 500 milligram tablet, you open it up, it's a capsule, and you put the powder in, and you will put 5 milliliters of water, slurp it up in a 1 milliliter syringe. All of a sudden you have 100 milligrams of activated charcoal, and that will be really great. It helps with the baby gas drops to combine those gas bubbles so that they're easier to expel. So both of those are really essential, really great to have in your emergency kit. Another thing that you want to have in your emergency kit, and you can just keep it in your pantry unopened, or you can keep it in your fridge, is pediatric electrolyte solution, or Pedialyte. It's a drink, it's a liquid. They also come in powder packs that you mix in water, and it has electrolytes, it has vitamins and minerals that can help when your piggies are severely dehydrated. And if they haven't been eating and they haven't been drinking because they're in pain, getting them to drink a little bit, getting the whole process moving is good. So giving them a few syringes of water. You can also mix, instead of mixing the emergency food in water, you can mix the emergency food in a little bit of the Pedialyte, and that gives them extra electrolytes. There are, of course, electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals in the emergency food, but if you want to give them a watered down version of the emergency food with the pediatric electrolyte mix, that is good. We talk about how to feed the emergency food. Sometimes it helps that it's a little waterier if they want to drink it. Sometimes it helps if it's thicker and they can chew it. Just really depends on how they're feeling and how they want to take it. It's important to have a backup plan for your vet, and it's also important to be prepared just in case you can't get to the vet. Now, another option, especially these days, which is something I've got to look into more, is a televet. There may be an option. You might be able to find a vet that can do a phone consultation. So over the phone, you can tell them what's wrong, and they can send a prescription to your local pharmacy, or they can talk you through what to do with over-the-counter medications. So let me know if you've had success with a televet in the comments, because that could be a lifesaver for people who either don't have a vet close by, or they just can't get to the vet, or it's after hours, something like that. So let me know in the comments if you've had any positive experiences with the televet, and I promise I will have a video about that coming out soon. I'm going to do some more research on that. So be prepared, have a backup plan for your vet, and it doesn't hurt to check in with your vets on a regular basis. A few years back, when it was very tough to get appointments at the vet, I remember thinking, oh, I should just call my vet and just set up an appointment just to have an appointment, you know. And if I have, and if nobody gets sick, then I'll just cancel the appointment. And it was that bad. It doesn't seem to be that bad right now. I found a vet where I can get in within a couple days or a week, you know. And if you're flexible, then that makes a big difference too. So these are all things to think about so that you're not scrambling in an emergency. All right, until next time, thanks for watching.